What do you make of the stories of like whether a black triangle or not, where they're in people's experiences they see human personnel with non-human intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people have always seen images of craft with portholes and, that real famous one. And gosh, where was it? In East Indies somewhere, a Father McGill, I
New
guess.
Guinea, yeah,
Yeah, was it New Guinea or something like that?
yeah,
And there's this craft hovering 40 or 50 feet up in the air, and all his indigenous people were with him, and they were all watching it. They came 2 days in a row, and they were humanoid beings. They're waving to them, and they were waving back to them. The hell do you make of that? I mean, what do you make of the South African one? I don't know why the name escapes me at the moment, but where those little children see
the
these little
aerial,
creatures
yeah,
come, Ariel, right? And I don't discount any of that. You can't discount any of that. People aren't lying when they say what they've seen, but they would be lying if they told you what it is because they don't know. They just know what they've seen, and they can describe it to you, and they can tell you what it is, but they don't know what's behind it.
yeah.
And that's the problem with all of this, and that's the problem with disclosure in general. And I think why the government is really highly reluctant to come out with any of this data because their narrative isn't complete, nowhere near complete. They can't come out and, for instance, if the president came out tomorrow and said, well, I got this fantastic thing I want to tell you. A, UAP are real. B, there are non-human intelligences, and maybe C, we're in contact or we have been in contact with them. But I can't tell you anymore.
What do you, I mean, what do
Limited
you,
disclosure, right? Yeah,
yeah, I
can't tell
mean,
you.
what do you think the nature of that contact would be? And is the contact with the legacy program?
Well, getting back to what Peter said, nobody controls this. I mean, if anybody controls it, it's the phenomenon itself. Disclosure may not happen or may not be happening because the NHI don't want it to happen, or because we're not ready for it. I mean, that's what I've heard. I've heard that that's pretty much the case. And you can't explain it to the American people. You can't, well, you'd explain it to everybody in the world, right? What the hell are you supposed to say? I mean,
I mean,
it's a statement that would beg a million questions, and you have no answers for that. Well, do we have free will? Well, I don't know. Well, they're able to come in your house and do all kinds of crazy stuff. They're able to abduct you, take you away. They're able to, plant memories inside your mind. They're able to do this, that, and the other thing. You have no control over it. So there's a loss of control. People don't like that. They want to think that they control their lives. They get up every morning and make decisions. They can go here, there, and the other thing. And now somebody's going to tell them, well, that's not really true.
yeah. So
They
you
can
heard,
come into your house anytime, or they can appear to you, not appear to you. They can do anything they want to do. They're omnipotent beings for all intents and purposes. Do you really want to say that? Particularly if you have no way to defend against it? No,
I
I
mean,
don't think.
where'd you hear that from? But that, you don't have to say an individual's name, but like,
Peter Lavenda. No,
I knew you were going there. Yeah, I know.
I couldn't pass that one up. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, this is why one of the reasons why I'm not a too big of a fan. I love your podcast, James. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's chicken shit sometimes when I give answers like this, where I say, well, I don't want to do that. Well, then don't say things that, that's what's going through the back of my head.
yeah.
So it makes me really reluctant to want to say things because the obvious question from a good interviewer like you are, and you would be like, well, who told you that? Well, I was like, I can't say.
Yeah.
I don't want to say.
Yeah.
And people, it's really funny when you talk to ufologists, and I talk to them all the time. And these are the guys, you know all their names, right? Leslie, you can go on and on and on and
Yeah.
on. All these people. And each one of them, Lou, each one of them knows stuff, right? And they know stuff that's classified and they know stuff that's, unclassified and they know stuff that's sort of in a gray area. And everybody dances around one another because they all respect the classification process. I mean, some of their knowledge might come from a particular program, others, from other programs. And just because you have top secret clearances doesn't mean you can actually talk about everything. You can't. You just can't. It's always, always compartmented, and it's always need to know. So what you get is, even with when I was meeting with Lou, I mean, there are things Lou just wouldn't tell me. I had as many clearances as he did, but he couldn't, and I don't blame him. I mean, and I couldn't tell him some things too, and we respected that, and that was perfectly fine. So when people sort of say to you, yeah, we have downcraft, and yeah, we have bodies, they know that, but they never say where they got the information, how they got the information. So there's a deniability to that. And when you see Age of Disclosure, that documentary that's going to be coming out, hopefully soon, it's still being the distribution still being figured out. You're going to see some really highly unusual things being said that I thought would never be said in any documentary from people in the know. Matter of fact, there was a couple times during the premiere when I was in Austin at South by Southwest when I saw it. I actually put my hands over my eyes. I couldn't believe things that were being said. I was like, holy shit, you shouldn't say that. But
Yeah.
they did. And it's like, okay, all right.
But you said, disclosure's not happening. It's just like
I'm not saying disclosure is not happening.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I have not heard a new friend of mine, Carl Nell. I don't know if you're familiar with Carl. He's a great guy. I mean, just extremely bright guy. Did a really good presentation for Soul Foundation on what he knows about all of this, and he's a good friend of Dave Grush, and he had a couple slides on limited disclosure and catastrophic disclosure, what they call, the idea that you tell everybody everything and then what the problem with that is. And a lot of people who deal with disclosure will tell you, look, it's so problematic. No one's ever figured out a way to actually come out and say this in a way that won't cause issues, very serious issues. So, but he's a big fan, and a lot of other people have limited disclosure. But I would love that, but I don't know how the hell you do it. I haven't heard anybody give me a really good way to do it, and I think that's probably why the government hasn't come out yet. We make the government out to be bad guys, and I'm not saying they aren't in some of these aspects of this program, this long program that's been going for 80, 90 years. You can't run a program that size, that secret, that crap doesn't happen to people, right? But I know people in the government, and I know people that worked in the program, and I know them well enough to know that they're good, honest, ethical people, just like me and everybody else that worked in the government. I think I am. I have a reasonably strong moral and ethical center, and I can't imagine people acting in a way that, unless they thought it would be so detrimental that they knew they just couldn't just come out and talk about it. Notice when Dave Grush came out, I mean, nobody walked out with papers, right? Dave didn't come out with documents in his hand. He didn't do that. He knew he can't do that. He had to respect the process. What he did do was talk about it. But talking about it is one thing, but talking about it and showing highly classified special access program documents is a whole nother program. That gets into a whole nother area of borderline criminal activity if you did something like that. And he knows. I mean, he's an honest guy, and he's a moral guy, I think, and very strong ethical center also. I really respect him. And so he knew. Just why he doesn't name names. I mean, he names names, certain names, but he doesn't. He doesn't talk about the program publicly in depth. And he always says, I can tell you in a classified setting, but even when he's in a classified setting, if it's all secret, it's a classification just goes to secret. That's all he's going to go. He's not going to go any farther than that. So, okay.
So